Hello everyone, welcome on in. It's Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. It's your number one tennis betting podcast and YouTube show brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. I am Nigel Seeley, and before I introduce you to Sean Calvin, as I say every single time, please hit that subscribe button. It means so much to us. We're here slaving away, giving you so much content here, lots of bets, lots of angles, lots of attack. Some of them don't win, some of them do win, but at the end of the year, I will guarantee you that we'll have profit on this show. So please hit that subscribe button. We've had a lot of criticism in the last couple of days about some of our tips. Sean's outright tips. One of them was 66 to 1, one was 55 to 1. Calm down. The winners will be coming. Next week we have the US Open and we'll have you covered here on the show. Sean, good afternoon to you. Load of problems today with internet connections. John's had problems. I've had a download. This is the world we live in now. It's crazy things. I can deal with mad drivers. I can deal with queues now.
Can you?
But I can't deal with I'm not so much, but I can't deal with problems with computers where you don't know what you're doing, things just go wrong.
You're not Mr. Tech, are you? If we're being honest.
No.
It's fine. I mean, my tech's all right. I know you've got, quite an expensive machine there, and it's not doing what you want it to do. But these tennis players don't often do what you want to do either. I mean, if we've had some criticism, okay, fair enough. But yeah, I did have a short list of about 15, as I said, for Winston-Salem, and it's virtually impossible to get the winner of this tournament. As I said, I don't think I've had it for many, many years, if at all, because it is so random, and you are looking for players that haven't done well recently, which is a totally different approach to anything that you do the rest of the season. You're looking for players here that are wanting matches, and they're wanting matches because they haven't been winning matches. So yeah, I mean, Offner should have won. He was 1.03 in play, wasn't he? Minus 3,300, setting 4-2 up, managed to throw it away. Goffin was awful. And then we got a decent winner with O'Connell yesterday, so it's not that bad. Tiny bit down,
yeah,
but
I mean, it's very easy to you're given a 66 to 1 outright pick and a 50 to 1 outright pick, and they get beat an hour after the show drops. People get funny, and keyboard warriors come out. I mean, we're still 14.13 units up on this show. Find me any other YouTube channel doing the tennis that keeps the records that we do. And I'm not even bothered. We're wasting our time talking about these people, because these people come into these shows and want to sort of mess it up, because they will come in because we're doing exceptionally well. We have a following here. We have a big community. We have loads of people who like what we do, and that is all that matters to me. So anyway, don't worry about that. The US Open is coming up as well. Before we go on to the matches in Winston-Salem, which are difficult, as we've said all the way through this week, we've told everyone to keep their powder dry, be a little bit careful with your wagers. But obviously last night, the US Open betting took a bit of a shake-up. Jannik Sinner had to retire from his match 5-0 down against Carlos Alcaraz. Bet Rivers didn't move. We went straight live after the match with Tim Dennis, and there was lots of line movements all across the world. All the markets were moving towards Jannik Sinner to be probably a bettable price. He only had a stomach bug or some food poisoning, and I didn't think there was anything wrong with him, but he gave that look that you said on this show. But Bet Rivers have stuck with their prices currently for the US Open. Jannik Sinner is plus 110, Carlos Alcaraz is plus 150, Novak Djokovic 13, Ben Shelton 14, Draper 15, Zverev 17. But there is the top 6 we've just given you there, and 5 of the top 6 have an injury concern going into the US Open. Madness.
Yeah, I mean, Djokovic is supposedly unfit as well, isn't he? Draper's not played, Zverev's not fit. If you've bet Sinner for the US Open, I wouldn't be too worried about that. I mean, it's difficult playing in Cincinnati. It's 30 odd mid-30s in the shade. And he's played a lot of matches in that heat, and he didn't look particularly comfortable against that man in the semi-final. I think if that had gone to 3 sets, that could have been interesting as well. We know that's Sinner's kind of Achilles heel, isn't it? It's the only one he's got, because on pure tennis terms, he's probably going to win the US Open. But the sort of slight worry if you bet him is that element of when it does get really, really hot, really, really humid, he does sometimes struggle, and that was the case against Alcaraz. But the weather forecast I've seen for the US Open doesn't show it that hot at all. It's going to be like 26, 27, which is cooler than it was either last year or the year before. I think it was like 32, 33, 34 last year. I think it was either last year or the year before. I remember it was really, really hot. So it's not going to be that hot. And he plays a lot of a lot of these favourites play a lot of night matches, don't they? When it's not quite that hot, they play the 7 p.m. on Arthur Ashe, or even later when it's not that hot. So I wouldn't be worried if I'd bet Jannik Sinner to win the US Open. That would it's a tiny concern, but it wouldn't worry me that much.
Yeah, still -110 with Bet Rivers. And remember, this week we're going to cover the US Open. Thursday we have the live draw. Change of schedule there. Dustin Fox is unable to come with us, be live with us. He's covering a American football match for ESPN. So it's going to be myself, Tim Dennis. He got him off the sub bench. It'll be Tim Dennis, and we have Mitch Michaels, and that will be at 12. Is it 12? It's 12 o'clock Eastern time. No, it's 5. What time is it? 12 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock in the UK. You sent me the message this morning. That's why I asked you. I couldn't remember. The draw.
Oh, yes,
the draw.
That is 12 p.m. local time. Yeah, sorry. I thought you were talking about when you were starting the show. Obviously, not sure when you do.
No, 12 p.m.
Yes,
Eastern.
local.
12 p.m. Eastern time, 5 o'clock in the UK. We'll have a draw show on Thursday, breaking down the US Open. Just before we leave it past the buck to this week's rather than the US Open. But you mentioned that man. They're having a fantastic week.
Yeah.
And we talk about a player on the up. He's had to withdraw today from the US Open as well. I mean, that must have been a huge decision for him after last week, picking up the biggest paycheck of his year in form. So that shows you how much last week has taken out these players.
I just don't think he had any time, did he? Because he had to play qualies to get into the US Open. And I think he had to play the next day, after he'd lost to Sinner. So
it's wrong, isn't it? It's wrong.
I think it's just that situation is highly unlikely to happen, isn't it? The fact that a qualifier for Cincy then got so far in Cincy. I think Dolgopolov was the last qualifier to make the semis of Cincy 2015. It's so unlikely that a guy that low ranked would get to the semis and then have to play qualies for the US Open the next day. I think it's just an unfortunate scenario. You could look at it another way and say that if that man can play that well, and we know that he can, I've mentioned him a few times on this show, he hasn't done it week in, week out. If he'd have been at his somewhere near his best level week in, week out, he wouldn't have to qualify for these tournaments. So you could look at it that way and say, well, why is a player that good having to play qualies? It's because he doesn't produce week after week. He struggles with consistency, and so it's an unfortunate situation for him, but that's an unusual situation.
I think there was 8 withdrawals last week in Cincinnati, so it shows you that week before majors, thousands before wagers, they are tricky times to bet. So let's just be very, very careful with your bets this week. We'll have you more bets with a lot of motivation. The players will be at Flushing Meadow this time next week. Okay, so let's move on to these matches. Now, some of these matches are tonight, this evening. We're recording this on Tuesday, and some of these matches are this evening. The first match we're going to discuss is Botic van der Zandschulp against Matteo Arnaldi. Now, that match is 5:10 this evening. Bet Rivers currently have 28 different markets available on the app, if you download the app, and also on the website. And Matteo Arnaldi is a marginal favourite, not overwhelming favourite, but a marginal favourite. He's currently -139 with Bet Rivers to win this match. Botic van der Zandschulp is +112. Spread here is 1.5. Total is 22.5. If you look at the head-to-head record, it's overwhelmingly in favour of Botic van der Zandschulp. He beat Arnaldi at Wimbledon 3-0. So 3 tight sets, 7-6, 7-6, 6-4. And he beat him in the Davis Cup as well in 2023. Again, 6-7, 6-3, 7-6. So lots of tie breaks, 4 tie breaks in 6 sets between these two players. Before we give you the analysis in this match, Sean, what are the trends that you've seen from your magic computer? What's telling us about this court speed? What have we got to look for? Weather conditions? Anything we need to know about before we go into the analysis of this match?
The weather looks fine, actually. Tonight, 28 degrees, still nice and warm of an evening. Tomorrow looks all right as well, 30 degrees. Again, that's in the shade. Yeah, it's nice and warm, but there's no weather. There's no rain in the forecast. The court looks about medium pace to me. I think I said at the start of the week it looks medium paced. There was CPI mentioned about 35, which would put it medium at best. One of the commentators said it was about 35. If you remember, Toronto was like 42, 43, 44, something like that. So yeah, much. It's just a medium paced court, basically.
Yep, medium place court. That may suit Arnaldi here, the favourite, but Botic van der Zandschulp does have the commanding head-to-head record. Obviously, Botic van der Zandschulp has the advantage of playing a match here, rather than Arnaldi is one of the Seeley players, so he is his first match here in Winston-Salem. What do you make of this?
I quite like Botic here, but I don't like saying it, because he's cost us a few times, hasn't he, van der Zandschulp? Ever the enigma. Beats Alcaraz at the US Open, having lost in round 1 of Winston-Salem last year on a lake hold. Then he wins only 2 main level matches for the rest of the season. That's Botic. Also beat Djokovic at Indian Wells. His top level's very good. His run-of-the-mill level is anybody's guess. He's been playing on clay since Wimbledon. Made the semis in Kitzbühel, then lost to Guy den Ouden in the Hagen Challenger on the clay. And then he comes in his first match on the hard court, knocks off the informed Adam Walton, who's as I said, been playing really well, beat him from a set down. So he's ever the enigma, van der Zandschulp. He made the semis of this tournament in 2022, actually, so he has been known to go well here. I think this is a tough opener for Arnaldi. He's obviously beaten him twice, and the head-to-head, you mentioned the tight sets there. It's quite overwhelming to van der Zandschulp, even though the scorelines of the sets have been tight, 108-92. In terms of service points won and return points won totals. So that's quite a big advantage for a guy who's plus money in this particular matchup. He did have to save 3 match points in the Davis Cup match against Arnaldi, but the stats are very much in his favour. 80% first serve points won, 94% holds the serve, 60% second serve points won, and Arnaldi's only winning 27% of return points. So if you're going on the head-to-head, it's been an extremely good one for van der Zandschulp. He's had a match already, obviously in these conditions, beat Adam Walton. Arnaldi's coming in after a disappointing opening round, lost to Bonzi last week in Cincy, so he's attuned to the conditions. Arnaldi isn't. So if I trusted van der Zandschulp, I would go with him plus 112. I think on the head-to-head, it's as I say, the stats are very much in his favour. Arnaldi's going to have to do a lot better on return tonight than he ever has before against van der Zandschulp. And yeah, you can't bet him at minus 139 on the basis of the numbers that he's produced in this matchup.
So
it's a lean.
Botic van der Zandschulp is a lean.
I'm too scared.
You're not daring enough. Well, this is the tournament. We should be daring.
We're going to be daring in a minute.
The dogs here have got a good record, haven't they?
We're going to be. Okay. There's daring and daring.
Well, okay. Well, a lean for Botic van der Zandschulp. We are going to be daring in the next match.
Not this one.
Pretty much. I've got to. Oh, I thought I know where you were going to go here. I thought I would absolutely bet serious money that you'd be going for this one. Anyway, this one is Stefanos Tsitsipas against Yunchaokete minus 250 for Stefanos Tsitsipas, a man who was fallen from top 5 in the world down to just in the top 32. I mean, if the US Open was the following week, he may not even be seeded, which is an incredible fall from grace for the Greek. He's up against Boo, who's obviously not in the best of form, but is dangerous on his day. Tsitsipas here is minus 250 with Bet Rivers, incredibly low price. Boo is plus 195, spread of 3.5. Total here is 22.5 is the number. If you look at the head-to-head, well, there isn't one. No, never met before. But look at Tsitsipas' recent record. I mean, he's lost 5 of his last 6 matches. His only recent win was against Marijan in Cincinnati. And Boo come through a bit of a tough one against Zheng in round 1 here, but he has played on the court. He does understand the surface. He does, the motivation for him is probably a little bit more for Tsitsipas, but Tsitsipas is absolutely gone at the game at the moment, but he's still minus 250 Bet Rivers.
The reason I'm not going with Boo, which you're right to assume that I would, it's a fair assumption, and it probably would have been a correct one. Had I not looked at these odds, he opened Boo at 4.33 plus 333.
Really?
Yeah. And that would have been, if I'd have been quick enough to get on that, which clearly I wasn't.
Who on earth come up with that price watching Stefanos Tsitsipas?
I don't know, but it's gone. That's the problem. And
so he must have been, Tsitsipas must have been minus $5.
Probably about minus 4, I guess.
Yeah.
Plus 333.
Yeah, it'd be about minus 450, minus $5. I mean, that is what's he done to make anybody think he's won? The spread must have been.
I don't know what the spread was.
3.5 now. That would have been a 4.5 game with the dog. Boom.
I guess I didn't see the spread. I just looked at the line movements, and now.
Well, I'm looking at the Bet Rivers website now. This minus 250 is now minus 235, so it's continually going down. That is incredible.
Yeah, I would have gone with him at 4.33 plus 333. I cut a plus 195. Not sure. I mean, some people will probably still do it. I wouldn't put anybody off, but I'm a bit greedy with this stuff. Once I've seen a price has gone that much, it just puts me off a bit. I mean, as you said, Tsitsipas is still struggling for form. He has had injuries lately, the back issues. Had to retire at Wimbledon. Not played that much since. Come back to his dad as the coach again, having not got on with Ivanisevic, who said he wasn't even close to being fit enough. I don't think he liked that Tsitsipas. I think Ivanisevic then said, "Well, I think your dad is the only one who can coach you." He's basically saying you aren't going to listen to anybody else. So he's back with his dad again. But the same issues remain. Whoever he has as a coach, unless he starts listening to these guys and remodeling his game a bit, he's not going to get back to anywhere near where he was. Everybody knows about the backhand being the weak link. It is unreliable. It's prone to shanks. I mean, a single-hander is anyway. It just shows you how good Federer was, that he was able to dominate with the single-hander. I know it was a few years ago, but it's difficult for the single-handers on these quicker surfaces. And everybody peppers Tsitsipas's backhand until the errors come. And lately, it hasn't taken long for the errors to come. And they've been coming on the forehand as well. Watch his match against Bonzi last week. They were coming off the frame all over the place. So some of that will be the fact that he's a little bit rusty. He's had that back injury and he hasn't played too many matches. But he's not won back-to-back matches at any tournament since Barcelona on the clay back in April. I did say on this show when he won Dubai that I wasn't buying the Tsitsipas comeback, and that has proven to be the case. His stats certainly wouldn't make him a very short price favourite to win this match. Last 12 months, an outdoor hard at main level. Tsitsipas, better win rate, 58% win rate compared to 46% for Bu. But service points won and return points won total 101 for Tsitsipas, 100 for Bu. So nothing in it. Well, not nothing, but a little bit in it there to make him favourite, but not as short as he was when this line first came out. I just think the value's gone on Bu. If you still want to bet this, I'd probably take the over 2.5 sets at plus 138. Bet Rivers. Right, I just think the money line value's gone a little bit. Some people will still say plus 195 is decent, certainly based on the numbers that I've just given. But yeah, given the form that he's in, given the struggles that he consistently has, and Bu's beaten some decent players in his recent career. A lot of them have been at home, sort of on the Asian swing, but he's a more than competent player. Played very well against João Fonseca, who lost 7-5 in the third there last week. So yeah, he's capable. I'd go with the 2.5 sets. I'd be very surprised if Tsitsipas comes here and knocks this off in straight sets. I think Bu's got a decent chance to do something here.
It feels like a bit of a missed opportunity.
It does, yeah.
If we had recorded this yesterday, maybe Boo would have been the bet, but obviously now the market has settled down. And also, when there is a substantial move for a player like Stefanos Tsitsipas against him like that, this is a big move. To go from like -$5, -450 to 235 is a big move. It's going to take a decent amount of money to move that. That suggests to me that he's not in a tournament like this. I wouldn't want to be betting someone who's drifted from that price into this price. The move for the other guy at plus 330 or into plus 185 is a substantial move that I think you've got to take notice of it. So, Stefanos Tsitsipas, it looks like the market thinks the problems are going to continue for him. I mean, does he really care? He wants to go to US Open.
Sorry to interrupt you there, mate. You would think he would be into it. Otherwise, why would he decide late to play? I don't know. It's not a tournament where you would expect him to play, but I guess he's thinking, I really do need match practice. I've had that injury. I'm not in match rhythm. As I said at the start of this week, I'd be very surprised if he wins this tournament. Very surprised, but he should be winning like a couple of matches. You would think. Otherwise, why turn up? We'll talk about in a minute about another guy who, well, I'll question his motivation in a second, but. He does need matches, so the motivation is there, but the form, it just isn't there to bet him at that price.
29 different markets available on the Bet Rivers app. You can download that right now. And obviously, if you like what you're hearing on the podcast, if you're enjoying this show and you like what we're doing, please subscribe to our newsletter. It's for free. bettingweeklystudios.com. That's all you need to do to get in there, put your email address in, and this weekend we will have on the Betting Weekly Insider, it's going to be a US Open special. We're going to have tips from all the handicapping team, fades from all the handicapping team. If you've got the subscriber, if you've subscribed to the Insider, you'll realise it's a fantastic bit of stuff for us, what we're doing here, and it's going to be a tennis special one this weekend for the US Open. So it's for free at bettingweeklystudios.com. Remember that match, before I leave that aside, that match Stefanos Tsitsipas against Yunchaokete is tonight. It's 6:30 this evening, so make sure you get across to the BetRivers app and get those bets on now. And if you do have a bet, you'll be able to live stream the match as well. Okay, another match this evening is at 5:30, a little bit earlier than that. Matteo Bellucci against Jaume. Jaume is minus 177. Matteo Bellucci is plus 140. 2.5 spread. 22.5 of the games in this one. Again, no head-to-head record, but there has been a move in the market for Bellucci over the last few hours here. He beat Comensana in round 1 here in Winston-Salem, a good win for him. And he also won the Challenger event, in the Sumpter Challenger last week as well. So he's in form. Munar got beat by Comensana. So there is a sort of a correlation between the two in Cincinnati. And the player that we've got with this season looks to be running a little bit of empty at the moment, and he's a minus 177 favourite.
Yeah, Munar's got an absolutely shocking record the week before majors. I'll come on to that in a minute. Bellucci was one I liked in the opening round, but I was put off by the fact that he had to play a Challenger final on the Sunday. I know it was in South Carolina, and this is North Carolina. It's not that far, obviously, but it was still a difficult turnaround, from playing a Challenger final and then the next day playing in the round 1 of a totally different tournament. That's what put me off, because I didn't think Comensana would be up for it after everything he went through in Cincy when he was throwing up on the court and all the rest of it, and just seriously struggling in the heat, and played a lot of matches and a lot of sets. I did think Comensana would be perhaps a little bit unlikely, but the other, I didn't think Bellucci perhaps might not be up for it either, having just played a final yesterday. So that was kind of annoying. But he's very streaky, Bellucci. He's a very streaky player, as he showed in Rotterdam earlier this season in a big ATP 500. He won 5 matches there, made the semi-finals, beat, I think, Medvedev, beat a lot of good players, made the semis, and then he lost 4 of his next 5 matches. And that's kind of what a lot of these lefties, they seem to be very, very streaky. Atman, Humbert, Bellucci, there's a lot of them that are very, very up and down. Shapovalov, Bellucci's another one. But I think he'll want to carry on now, Bellucci. It's Tuesday. He's got that winning feeling back, which he's not really had that much for a little while. And as I've said, he's streaky. I think he'll want to carry on for at least one more match and then sort of see how he feels. But Munar, as I said, hugely questionable the week before a major. He's lost 5 of his last 6 matches in Winston-Salem, Munar, and he's lost his last 9 matches the week prior to a major. The last time he won a match in the week before a major was the 2022 Australian Open, when he beat John Millman in the first round, then lost in the second round. He hasn't won anything since then.
What a great stat that is. Brilliant stat.
I've gone through all of them. I've got more listed here, but we haven't really got time to talk about it. The bottom line is that he loses pretty much every single time. Just looking at this year, he lost in the opening round in Mallorca before Wimbledon, lost in the opening round in Geneva before the French, didn't play the Australian Open the week before. Last season, he lost in round 1 in the week before 3 of the 4 majors, and the other one he lost in qualies. So his record is absolutely atrocious. So he's clearly a player, or has been in recent years, that just doesn't give his best, isn't able to give his best, or isn't interested in giving his best. The week before, as I've said before, there's a lot of money on offer in these majors. If you win 1 round, even if you lose 1 round, you lose the opening round, you still get $100,000. It's a lot of money. And he's not coming in here in particularly great form anyway. The only win he's had in 3 matches this hardcourt swing was against the world number 560, Dan Martin, in Toronto. I just think Bellucci's going to want to carry on. And Munar, as I've said, his history is he doesn't want to carry on. He doesn't want to be here, or if he does want to be here, he's not capable of playing his best for whatever reason the week before a major. So I think you have to take the plus 140 in these circumstances on Bellucci on the money line.
Bellucci plus 140. Is that our first official play?
Yeah, I think given the weight of evidence that Munar doesn't show up the week before majors, I think plus 140 is decent. Yeah, on a player that's in form.
Yeah, plus 140. Matteo Bellucci up against Jaume. Shocking record before a major. I think that will be a very, very popular bet with Bet Rivers, and I think that plus 140 may not be there after the stats that Sean has just alluded to there. Now, that match again is this evening, so you need to make sure you get across to the Bet Rivers website tonight. I'm just checking what time it is. I think it's 5:30 this evening, so Eastern time. So you need to get all those three matches are this evening. So we've got Botic Zandschulp, Arnaldi, Stefanos, Tsitsipas, Boo, and that match there, Bellucci against Munar, all this evening. So if you do have a bet on those matches, you'll be able to live stream on your tablet or your mobile device. Okay, one match that is tomorrow is our final match. Now, I can never pronounce this guy's name.
Majchrzak.
Never. No, Korda. I'm joking. I can never. What's his? How do you
Mike, as in the name Mike, and then Shack, as in, I don't know, Chicken Shack or something.
Love Shack.
Love Shack. Yeah, I don't know where I got Chicken Shack from. What is that even?
Love Shack. There's the difference between you and I, Sean. I'm at the Love Shack. You're at the Chicken Shack. Majchrzak up against Sebastian Korda. Now, I did make a little bit of a case for Sebastian Korda this week, thinking he might be a player that wants to do well. I'm not going to get too excited after a one win against Caprifa, but he did play quite well in that match. Majchrzak obviously has come through two matches against Jarry and Borges. He's played very well as well. Minus 175 is the price for Korda. Plus 138 is for Majchrzak. 1.5 is the spread, and a total of 23.5. Obviously, Korda, major injury concerns, dropped down the world rankings, but he has got something to prove ahead of the US Open. I wouldn't bet Sebastian Korda at minus 175 with anyone's money, but I did bet him on the futures to win this tournament. Have I got a bit of a struggle on my hands here?
I like Majchrzak here. Yeah, I think it's a good opportunity for him. On the plus side, whenever I do something with Korda, I generally do it wrong. So this actually could be a positive for you. Yeah. Me betting Majchrzak could actually be a good thing for you. He was one of the ones I had on my massive shortlist for the outrights, Majchrzak, along with about 15 others. But what kind of put me off him was the draw, really. He had what was basically a 50-50 in the opening round against Nico Jarry. The big serving affair that, kind of could have gone either way. I think he was 5-2 down in the first set and ended up winning that. And that was kind of the key moment in that match. And then he had to play Borges. And Borges has got a surprisingly good record against big servers. But he certainly didn't put it in yesterday. As I said at the start of the week, who wants it? I wasn't sure whether Borges did. I assumed that he didn't, and he certainly didn't look like it yesterday. So he was on my shortlist. He's been in great form lately. He won the Challenger back in Poland a week or so ago on hard courts. Obviously, people will probably remember him more for making round 4 of Wimbledon a little while ago. I just feel I still feel like he thinks he's got something to prove. He definitely feels bitter about the doping ban that he got. He used some contaminated herbal supplements. He wasn't cleared because they basically said, well, it's your fault. Supplements are known to be dodgy. Take them at your own risk. And they did find that the supplements were contaminated because he still had a few of them left. And he put them in for analysis and they were contaminated. But it was still given as it's your fault kind of thing. So I think he feels a bit bitter about that. And just if you've got a chance to win a tournament, I think for him that would be massive. I think it would really be a big thing for him if he was able to win this tournament, given everything that he's gone through. So I think the motivation here levels will be higher for him than Korda. He's obviously got our old pal Korda, and it's a big ask for the American to play his tennis, straight away after such a long break. I mentioned it with Tommy Paul last week as well against Manarino. It's almost the identical situation. He's won one match, but he has only played one match in 3 months, and it wasn't the toughest of matches against Capriva, who should never have beaten Offner. But there you go. It's just difficult to play your tennis, your top level after such a long break. He's going to be up and down. And Majchrzak's got a ton of power. He overpowered Borges, who won 71% of his service points and 48% on return against Borges yesterday. Very good level. And if you look at his last 10 main level matches, Majchrzak, he's got 60% win rate and a service points won and return points won, total of 101 in his last 10 main level matches. Very good numbers. He's definitely more match sharp than Korda at the minute. So yeah, if only for your outright, Nigel, I'm going to take Majchrzak at plus 140, which pretty much guarantees you that Korda will be through to the next round.
Well, I've got a couple of bits of good news for you. The first bit of good news is I've backed Sebastian Korda, and my luck is terrible at the moment. And the second bit of good news is Majchrzak has gone up to plus 145 in Bet Rivers.
Okay.
So they're dangling that carrot.
Take the carrot.
And we're going to take it.
Take the carrot. I mean, I should put the caveat in for people that haven't only just started listening to the show. I do get Seb Korda wrong an embarrassing amount of times. So yeah, hopefully this won't be another one. But yeah, in Winston-Salem, you've kind of got to weigh up who wants it. I think Korda would be happy personally for just a couple of matches after everything he's gone through with injuries and stuff. But I could be wrong. We'll see.
We'll see. Majchrzak is plus 145. Might have a little bit of a hedge on that. If Sebastian Korda, it was one of the players that I liked in the preview show when we did this on Saturday or Sunday this week. We'll be back again tomorrow. That's it for today. Just one official play. We're going to go for two official plays.
Yeah, I think we have to take two. The two being Majchrzak, as I just said, to beat Korda at plus 145. And the other one, Bellucci, very similar price. I think it's plus 140 with Bet Rivers, isn't he? Bellucci to beat Munar.
Yeah, two outsiders there. And if obviously if one of them wins, we make a profitable day. As I said at the top of the show, 14.5-ish units heading into the US Open. We'll be back tomorrow for our final Betting Weekly Game Bet match before the previews and before the madness comes along for the US Open. On Thursday, we have the live draw. Tim Dennis, myself, Mitch Michaels going through the live draw 12 o'clock Eastern Time. 5 o'clock in the UK. And then over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, myself and Sean will be looking at the men's draw, the outright market, and the best bets in round one. And I'll be joining Rory Giovanni to do exactly the same with the women's draw. The coverage is going to be insane. Sean will be flying out to New York the early part of the week. And I'll be flying out on Wednesday to take over the baton and bring us through to the second week of the US Open. So anything you want covered here on the US Open, this is the place you want to be. Also on our socials, Because We Win. Lots of different content going there. I've just bought a new camera to go there as well. So hopefully we've got some nice new pictures of the new camera. And we'll see what the quality of that comes with as well. So looking forward to it. Really, it's a bit of a quiet week obviously here. But thank you for everyone for subscribing. Thank you for joining as well. Please ring that bell. If you like what you hear, please hit the subscribe button. And also subscribe to our newsletter and our insider, bettingweeklystudios.com. Subscribe there for free. And you'll have that fantastic US Open guide in your inbox on Friday. That's it for today. Back again tomorrow. Sean, thanks for your time. Take care and see you all again tomorrow.